You will never guess these luxe spring decor pieces started as thrifted and Dollar Tree finds. Watch me as I turn budget into beautiful. Hi, I'm Loli. Let's create something beautiful and find a little joy along the way. Watch me how I transform this old entire thrift store find into a beautiful, stunning piece of decor. First thing that I did was take some black paint and we are going to accent all of the inside little areas of those little cutouts. I just want the black paint to go into all of the little grooves of the design. I did this all around the entire thing. Then I took some rose stolen linen white chalk paint and painted the entire piece. But when I'm getting to the section where I painted the black, I'm making sure not to have too much paint on my paintbrush so I don't get the white paint inside of the black grooves. And I gave it all 2 coats. And this is what I ended up with. Now we're going to take this peel and stick contact paper from the Dollar Tree and we're going to use it to cover the top section of this. So I took a piece that was big enough to cover it and I'm going to start by removing the backing from just a portion of this section and lining it up, making sure that that area there is fully covered. And I'm removing the backing as I'm smoothing down the contact paper onto that surface. And I did that until I had it completely covered and just making sure that there's really no bubbles or no wrinkling along the way. Once it was completely positioned, I took my sip sander and I'm going to go ahead and sand off the edges all along this piece to remove the excess contact paper. And I carefully continue to do this all the way around the entire piece until all of the excess contact paper was completely removed. And look how beautiful that's looking. Then I took some of my Mod Podge multi and I'm going to go ahead and seal the entire piece with it. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this project. This one is so quick and easy, you don't want to blink. I took 2 of these candle holders that I got from Dollar Tree in the plus section for $3 and 2 of these light up rose pieces as well, also from the Dollar Tree for $1.25. I'm going to go ahead and remove the tags from the bottom of them and remove the little tab right here where the battery goes. Then I took my sip sander and I sanded off all of the smooth edges from the bottom section here because we are going to paint it. These candle holders have this white with gray type of distressed look. So we're going to try to achieve the same thing in the bottom section of these rose pieces. So we're going to go ahead and take a chip brush and paint it with some of this seriously gray from Folk Art to try to make it resemble the same distressed finish that these candle holders have. So we're going to take the chip brush, and I just started in the beginning by just, doing a very little amount of that gray paint on it, being very careful not to paint that clear section as I'm going along. And I did this with both of them. But then when I put them on my candle holders, I did not like how that white still looked kind of plasticky against the other surface of the candle holders. So I decided to come back and paint that with some chalk paint and then distress it this way. My friend, if you're enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to hit that like button. And while you're there, subscribe and hit the notification bell so YouTube notifies you each time that I upload a new video. All these things are free and they mean the world to me. Thank you so much. All right, and this is what we are looking like. It came out so, so beautiful. Please let me know in the comment section what do you think about this project. I absolutely love it. It's easy to do and so beautiful. These can be used for a romantic table setting, or you can also use them as coffee table decor or shelf sitter. My friend, today's video is part of the Bloom and Blossom DIY Inspiration collaboration that is hosted by my friend Katie from Lady Red Crafting, myself Loli from Loli's Creations, and this month we have the privilege of having the talented Marla from The Chic Show DIY. The links to our channels and to the playlist will be linked in the description box below, so make sure to head on over and show everyone some love. This one might be my favorite. I started with this reed form from Dollar Tree and this burlap from Dollar Tree as well. I opened up the burlap and laid the reed form on it on the back. Then I'm going to add hot glue onto the brackets of the reed form. That way it is attached to the fabric. And I did that all the way around, making sure that my fabric is nicely stretched out and wrinkle free. And I did that all the way around the reed form. Then I took my rotary tool and trimmed off all the edges from the outside, the inside, and then I created some slats as well. So here I kind of lost some footage, guys. I'm sorry when I did the circle in the inside, but I pretty much just drew a circle with my rotary tool as you see there and cut off the exits. And then just as you see here, see how I'm just going in a circle going around? I did the same thing in the inside. And then I created some slits with the same tool in about, I would say like 1 to 2 inches increments. And I did that, the same thing that I did to the inside, I did to the outside as you see right there. Next, I arm myself with my hot glue gun and my finger protectors. We're going to tap this down. Just make sure that you protect yourself, guys, because that hot glue goes right through that burlap and you will burn your fingers. I just kept doing this in the inside and the outside until my entire reed form was completely covered. And this is what it looked like when I was completely done with it. Then I took some floral moss from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use 2 different packs. I'm going to start with this green one. And I'm just adding hot glue to the front of that fabric and then just adding the moss onto it, making sure, again, be careful you don't burn your fingers on here. I kept doing that until the entire reed form was completely covered. Then I came in with this second moss. This one is a little bit more of a dead moss kind of thing. I did want the variation in color with this one. I want this to be nice and whimsical. So I mixed it with some of that green as well, just to bring it down a little bit. It was a little too brown for me. So I wanted to have just a little bit of variation. So I have that springing kind of look in this piece. And then I'm going to just add it in any areas that kind of have less of the other moss. And I just kept doing that until I went around the entire reed form. And this is perfectly what I wanted. So we're going to take this galvanized sign from Dollar Tree and add it to the top section of the reed right here. And I'm just going to use hot glue for this. If you want this to stay a little bit longer, or if you want to keep it out in hot days, I will recommend using a different kind of glue. But I'm going to just be using this in the beginning of spring, and you know that it's not going to be that hot at that time. I did make sure, though, to secure it in any area that touched the reed form. All right, then we're going to take this galvanized birdhouse that we got from Dollar Tree as well, and we are going to stick it right here in the middle. But I wanted it to go through that, that whole fabric and everything, so it will be nicely secured. So it took a little bit of elbow grease, but I got it in there by wedging it in between the brackets that the reform has in the top and the bottom. And then when I got here, it was rough. But be careful that you don't puncture yourself as you did this. I was very careful and then I went it through and look at that. It fits perfectly. I just bent it back so it will stay straight. And then took my pliers and I'm going to go ahead and cut off the excess wire. It took a little bit of elbow grease, but then I bent it back and forth and removed that excess. All right, and then I went to the back of this and secured it with some hot glue to make sure that it did not spin in the wind. Now we are going to decorate this. So beautiful. Wait and see. I can't wait. I'm so excited. All right, so then I took these leftover pieces that I had. I used these with some other DIY some while back, but I had 3 of each color. So I'm going to space them out as you see there, trying to have a nice pattern, because if you know me, guys, I'm all about patterns and symmetry. So I'm trying to figure out how I can space them out so they would look symmetrical. So I ended up doing 3 as you see there, then putting the yellow, not the yellow, the pink in the middle right here. And I made sure that they were all going in the same direction. Once I was happy with the positioning, I came in and added hot glue to the bottom section right here and glued it down, held them in place until each piece dried. And if there was any piece that was, not laying down, like the top section sticked out, then those pieces I added hot glue to the bottom section and also to the top as well. So everything laid down nice and flat. Then I brought in these purple flowers also from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to put them in between those empty areas that you see there. But in order to have them placed perfectly, I lifted the previous one and kind of like nestled it underneath of it and then glued underneath of that, if that makes any sense. So I lifted the previous one, placed that plastic piece underneath so it will be hidden, and then added hot glue underneath of the piece. And you see how it looks seamless? I did that all the way around. In the pieces in which I tacked down the top and the bottom, I kind of fed the flower through the middle of those pieces and being very careful that I don't break anything as I go along or unstick anything. And that way I was able to do the same thing, tuck it underneath and add hot glue to the end. And this is how we went around that portion. And I did that until I had all my purple pieces in place. Next, I came in with some of these rosemary pieces from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to remove individual little pieces. I started right here with creating a little focal place for my little birdhouse. I'm just adding a little bit of hot glue to the edge here and then position it right in the corner, sticking up. I did the same thing with the other side as well. Then added another piece in front of it in the same way. And then I took those green pieces you see above my hand, and I also glued them on the side to bring in even more visual interest to our little birdhouse. And I did another one to the other side as well. And it's looking gorgeous already, but I'm not done yet. I'm going to take more of these rosemary bushes and put them all along these edges in between, as you see here, all the way around the entire wreath form. This is giving me fairy garden vibes. What do you think? All right, now we're going to create a hanger. To do that, I'm going to use some of this leftover burlap fabric. I'm going to start by just trimming off any loose ends. Then I'm going to add some hot glue to one of the ends and fold it over. Then I trimmed off the excess burlap and tack the remaining end onto the other one by just adding a strip of hot glue right along the side right here and folding it over. And this creates a nice finished strip that is perfect to create as a hanger. I'm just going to go ahead and fold it over as you see right here and stick it to the back of our wreath. I just tack down one side at a time, making sure that it's adhered properly in between of those brackets there. Then I brought it over, making sure that the loop is still intact so you're able to put a wreath hanger right through that loop. And I did the same thing on the other side of that. And once it was completely adhered, I took another piece of the burlap fabric and I glued it on top of that union just to reinforce everything, and so it will look nicely finished as well. And you could stop here, but you know already I'm not done yet. I'm going to take some of this chestnut color from Apple Barrel and distress the birdhouse and the welcome sign. This is the perfect color that mimics rust. You can go as light or as heavy as you can. The choice is yours. Let me know what you think. For this DIY, we will be using this egg wreath form, but not in the way you think. I took this burlap fabric that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm going to go ahead and position my wreath form over a piece big enough to cover it and trimmed off the excess. Then we're going to glue it to the wreath form. I'm going to start with north, south, east, and west. I'm going to start here in the beginning, gluing it down in place. Then I'm going to just go ahead and do some slits along the entire wreath form in the outside portion. Then I'm tacking down the top section of the egg, the same way I did the bottom, just tacking it down as you see there. But I'm making sure that we are keeping that edge intact, or the form of the wreath form, and trimming off any excess burlap as we go along. Then I did the same thing with the sides as well. And this is to make sure that everything is stretched out properly before I tack along the rest. Once that was established, I just began adding hot glue to that and then tucking the edges underneath. And I did that until this whole bottom section was completely covered. Before we do the top, I need to first slit right here in the beginning, but we're going to do it a little bit higher up because we want to keep half of that burlap at the bottom intact. And I just cut it into slits as you see there, and I did the same thing on the other side. Now we're going to tack down the top section the same way that we did with the bottom. But here we have two sides that we have to deal with. So I just keep doing one side, then I'm doing the other. That way I have a finished edge on both the side and the bottom. I keep doing that until it was completely covered. Here we're going to go ahead and slit here all the pieces, just a tiny little slit all along that area. This is so I have a nice finished look as well as here. And I want to have this look as a basket if you have not figured that one out yet. And I'm cutting the edges in that manner just so I have a finished look here. I don't want any frayed edges in this section. And I just continue to tack everything down as you see right there, going in the same level, making sure that everything remains straight. When I got here to the corner, I'm just tacking it down sideways. I'm doing it twice because I want to make sure that that edge is nice and strong for the next step ahead. And this is the finished look. Now we are going to embellish. I'm going to use these flowers that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm going to cut them, three sections of them, and glue them to the back of the basket. The stems here were a little bit too long, and I did not want this poking anywhere in the burlap or anywhere else. So I position them as you see here. I want them to be spread out like that because I want it to look like flowers that are spilling out of the basket. I tack them down with some hot glue on these exact positions. Then I came in with another portion of flowers. Here I wasn't sure if I was going to use the purple or the pink. I ultimately decided on the pink. Tell me in the comment section, will you have went with purple or will you have gone with the pink? All right, so I'm gluing them in between the other ones, trying to make them look as natural as possible and filling up any gaps in between as well. Next, I took some of the leaves that I had from the same pick, and I'm going to just glue two right here on the edges on both sides of this, just to add a different variation. Then I came in with some boxwood, and I'm going to position them here, but I want to make sure that I'm kind of covering up all those stems. It just looks a little bit too scanty in that area. So I'm just gluing some of this eucalyptus. Is this boxwood? I think it's eucalyptus. I always get them mixed up. I'm sorry. All right, so we're going to add hot glue to the stems here and stick them into the sections where we want them to make sure that we are covering up those stems from the back. Then I flip it over and hold it in place until everything glues. And I just kept doing that until I filled in as much as I wanted. Then I came in with these little hanging pieces. They don't hang as well when you have them off at that pick. So I'm just bending the area where the first couple leaves are, and then I'm going to tack it down in the back and hold it in place so that way they will look as if they are dangling down in the front. I did that in 3 different sections here at the front of this basket. Look how beautiful that's looking, but I'm not done yet. I still wanted to fill in some other areas, so I added some boxwood right here on the edges, or actually eucalyptus again, on the edges, so it would look like the flowers are kind of spilling out. And I thought that the back looked a little bit scanty on the top as well, so I ended up taking the rest of the blue pick, cutting the stems out and gluing it right here to the middle to add some more fullness to it. And look at that. What do you think? It needed it, right? All right, now we're going to add some more boxwood to the front and some more big flowers. So I'm just taking a couple pieces, adding them here in areas in which I felt that it was just too much green and we needed a little bit of color in there. So I did it pretty much the same way that I did the boxwood, put them in position on this side and then glue them in the back once I flipped it over and I saw where that plastic piece kind of fell and held it there until the piece dried. I did the same thing with the other side and anywhere in between where there was some color missing. Then I took the back and covered it with another piece of the same fabric so this will look nice and finished on the back as well. And cut off the excess burlap. Look how cute, but I'm not done yet. I'm going to take one of these galvanized pieces from the Dollar Tree. I chose the word blessings and I'm going to position it right here. Then I took this chalkboard ornament from the Dollar Tree. They're actually 1 cent right now if you find them, and painted them yellow. And then I took my paint markers and I outlined first the silhouette of the bee, and then I added little antennas to it. Next, I did the rest of the body pretty much. And this is what we had turned out with. And we had a hole in the beginning there. So I took a tumbling tower block and I added it to the back, making sure that the piece of the tumbling tower block is hitting that hole. Then I took some of the same chalk paint that I painted it with and filled in that hole, and that worked just as well as spackling. Now we are going to go ahead and give it a little smiley face and glue all this to the front of our wreath. I just added hot glue. You can add some E6000 instead as well for some permanent hold. And then I glued the bee right here in this corner with some hot glue as well. To finish it off, I added some moss to the edges there where the florals are. I just glued it right there all along. And I thought this was the perfect finishing touch for this piece. Now we are done. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this one. I love it. Here comes another quick and easy one. I'm using this leftover piece that I used for a different DIY, and I painted it white with some Rust-Oleum Linen wet chalk paint, and I'm going to dry brush it, and I'm going to keep building it until I'm happy with it. And if I have any areas like right there that I have too much paint, I just came back with a wet wipe and wiped it off, and then continued to build it until I was happy with it, making sure to also take care of the sides. And this is what I ended up with. Then I took one of these seed starting pots from Dollar Tree and I cut it in half, just trying to do it as straight as possible so that way the edges will be all even. Then I took some of this chestnut color from Apple Barrel and I'm going to give it a full coat. If you see there, I'm using the same paintbrush with the paint that I had on there to paint the previous piece with it. That way I will have a nice variation of some dark areas and some light ones. And this was perfect for the effect, the terracotta effect I was going for. And don't forget to also paint your edges. I gave this a second coat and then came back with that white brush, then distressing lightly all of the edges. Once it was nice and dry, we're going to add some hot glue to all the edges there, all the way along. Try not to put too much so you don't have any seeping through the sides. And then position this right here at the bottom at the center of this piece. Then I took some leftover pool noodle pieces I have laying around and just stuffed them right inside there. I'm kind of doing like a Jenga kind of thing, making sure that everything is nicely stiff in there. And then once I got to the last ones here, I just press it down and I just added a little bit of hot glue there to keep everything in place. To cover this up, you're going to add some of this reindeer moss on top of it. Also added some hot glue so that will stay in place as well. Then I took some of these hanging pieces I got last year from Dollar Tree, and they don't hang unless they're in this piece and in a group. So what I had to do was kind of bend the edge and then stick it into where I wanted. And I did that with about 3 pieces. I put one along each side here and one in the middle. I love the variation in the color in those pieces. Then I took some of these rosemary pieces from Dollar Tree and we're going to place some in here as well to bring in another level of texture and color to this piece. My friend, will you do me the favor and please let me know in the comment section where you're watching from? I love to know how far my videos are reaching. And while you're there, please go ahead and share this content with someone who will enjoy it just as much as you do, because sharing is caring and it helps my channel grow. Thank you so much. All right, next I took some of these baby's bread that I got from Temu, and I'm going to cut just a couple sections to spread around right here. And I thought this gave it a beautiful different variation in color. And that is it for this piece. It came out so amazing. Please let me know in the comment section what do you think about this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's episode, here are a couple more videos you are sure to enjoy. Thank you so much for stopping by. You're amazing. Bye.